start the recording like this. Took a fair bit of sell side down here. Come on. There we go. All right, so let's grab this line, pin it down here. So if we zoom in, I mean, that's the best short-term low we have within this entire rally to the upside. The next short-term low would be down here. With a short-term low, I'm always referencing a low with a higher low to the left and a higher low to the right. Also, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, no, that's a lot of executions. Can see that we're right inside this 4-hour bullish fair value gap. If we go to the 1-hour time frame, we can see that we didn't tap the lowest 1-hour bullish fair value gap yet, but we might. Nice, slow and steady, retracement into those fair value gaps here just by looking at the 1-hour time frame. But my main focus is about that sell side liquidity. We took that out very nicely. We have more sell side just below. Moved away from it with the new hourly open. So new hourly candle opened up. Moved to the downside. Nice bullish fair value gap being left behind. We filled it in. If we would have closed below, my stop loss was placed right here at this candle's low. So I was simply looking for a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio here. A little bit more than that actually, 1.43. Added some buys, a little bit lower. Then I entered again on this volume imbalance. And essentially we just ended up consolidating until the 9:30 opening, where we hit that short-term high. Quickly little trade. This morning during the London session, we can also recap that quickly. ES open with a new week opening gap here. This little, let's call it green-blue background here with the ICT all-in-one indicator. The new week opening gap. So that opened up. And we immediately took out the previous day's low, this orange line right here. If we take a look at NQ, NQ didn't do that. So that's Friday's low. That's where we open up. But yeah, we didn't sweep Friday's low essentially. And then we just consolidated for a little, rejected off the new week opening gap here once and continued higher to take out a higher high. Then we closed below it and we used it as resistance to continue lower. We also had the midnight opening level right here. We hit that paired with our new week opening gap and continued below the previous day's low. And from there, we continued a little bit lower until 2 a.m. 3 a.m. opens up. We get something similar to what we... All right, that's selling off. Glad I took my profits here at that 1.4 risk to reward. But we saw something similar. We had a new hourly opening to the downside right here. Big bearish candle. But we immediately turn around from here, bouncing off this volume imbalance, displacing, closing back above the bearish fair value gap that has been created right here at 3 a.m. and leaving a new bullish fair value gap behind. And that's all the signs that you essentially need to tell, okay, we're not in bearish order flow. We took out sell side. Now it's time to clear some buy side. That's exactly what we did here after pushing through these bearish fair value gaps here that we had on the left, closing above them. We retest them. We leave behind new bullish fair value gaps. Yes, we closed below it once, but note how we opened up. We immediately gapped back inside of the bullish fair value gap. And then at 4 a.m., the true London open for the time being until the 31st of March, until we have the switch here in Europe and in the UK to summertime. That's happening on the 31st of March. Until then, according to New York local time, the London Open is happening at 4 a.m. New York local time. We pushed up. We took out this high inside our new week opening gap and also left behind SMT divergence between ES and NQ. So on ES, we took out that high. On NQ, we did not make it there. That's bearish SMT divergence. On NQ, we actually just retested our new week opening gap here. We tapped it and we turned around from there. We also had two bearish fair value gaps on the 1 hour time frame lining up with that. and I simply got in on this hourly bearish fair value gap with my stop loss just above the VWAP and the new week opening gap. A very low risk trade, but the risk to reward kind of made up for it. We can also see some more SMT divergence between ES and NQ. Let's see. ES at the 9:30 opening pushed to the upside, while NQ moved further to the downside, further below the previous day's low, filling in more of this 4-hour fair value gap. During the London tapering session, I marked out this diamond shaped pattern right here. So we had our market structure shift. Let me just change something here quickly. Visibility on intervals, current interval and below. Now let's go to the 15-minute time frame and go to current interval and below. So now if we go to the 1-hour time frame, we don't see it every time. So after the market structure shift, we consolidated, hit the breaker block twice, and then turn around with a 1-hour inversion fair value gap / bearish fair value gap. The diamond pattern is a continuation pattern. So we start, consolidate in here. We could also label it as seek and destroy because we took out highs, then we took out lows, we took out the highs again, and now we're back to the lows. And right now we're in the expansion phase to the downside. That's why I was confident to take the short with this London open move to the upside with a rather tight stop loss paired with these 1-hour bearish fair value gaps. And now we're just continuing further to the downside. We could look for sell side liquidity. We already cleared that, but as we already saw on the 1-hour time frame even, there's not much sell side we could aim for. The next sell side liquidity would really be down here. Right now we're filling in these inefficiencies after clearing the all-time high, leaving behind some SMT divergence at the all-time high between ES and NQ. We could also take a look at that. That was from last Thursday. ES made a higher high above the all-time high, NQ did not. Can also get rid of all these. Well, maybe not all of them. Change inside of delivery. Let's leave everything on except that. No, we could leave that on. Get rid of that. So that's a quick London session breakdown. On the ESI also, on the ESI was a little bit more bullish, not gonna lie. I wanted to see if we can continue higher off this inversion fair value gap to take out the Asia session buy side. But I closed the trade once we hit the fair value gap. Inside the fair value gap, let's see, I entered not really sure what I did here. But anyway, I think that was a break-even trade. Trying to get long after we swept a short-term low here. Still looking for higher prices, but then essentially we closed. If we look at market structure here, we formed a high, a higher low, and a higher high. We closed below our most recent higher low, so that's a market structure shift to the downside. We closed below our highest bullish fair value gap, and then from here on I shorted the inversion fair value gap, lining up with our previous day's low. Left behind a volume imbalance after consolidating for 20 minutes right here. Volume imbalance paired with a bearish fair value gap. We used that to continue lower and hit our low of the day. And that was already my exit because I did not have proper sell side to target compared to NQ, for example, where I was able to target the previous day's low. That's interesting. So right now we have bullish SMT divergence between ES and NQ. NQ having formed a lower low while ES did not do that. Right here. Let me get rid of all these brushes. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're only Yeah, 4 people watching. Now we are more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we hit 420. We're going high. Is that a joke or are you actually serious? Because 420 half, okay. Yeah. Feel free to ask. This is essentially a, well, one-on-one session. You just gotta ask the question and I will see it because you're not competing with hundreds of people inside the chat. So let's take a look at NQ here and follow up with that because the SMT divergence does look nice. Momentum slowed down here and then immediately turned around. That doesn't look like a continuation to me. Unfortunately, we don't have a fair value gap yet. The only fair value gap reference we would have would be this bullish fair value gap. After we closed below it, you see that right here at 925, we retested it and continued lower from there. So a close back above it could confirm something here. A retracement essentially into the inefficiencies we left behind. Let's also take a quick look at the DXY. The DXY is retracing after we essentially caught it in a weekly outlook that after we filled in this gap right here, volume imbalance on a daily time frame, after sweeping those two lows, consolidating at the low, that we initially invalidated our first bearish fair value gap here with this candle close. With the next candle close inside this bearish fair value gap right here, we started to leave behind new bullish order flow, new bullish discounts I mean with that, so new bullish fair value gaps. Eventually we also closed above our second bearish fair value gap within this price leg here, with this candle close right there. Then we came back, before we take out buy side, we come back to retest the inversion fair value gap, opened up with a pretty big new day opening gap, at the same time filling in this bullish fair value gap. Never closed below the inversion fair value gap though, because from here we essentially continued higher and pushed into this short-term high buy side liquidity. We also already took out this short-term high on the daily, and right now we're holding up inside this inversion fair value gap at the high. So if we take a close look, we formed a higher high, higher low, higher high. We shifted structure once we closed below this bullish fair value gap. I know it's getting a little bit messy, but I hope you can follow me. We closed below it right here. We came back to retest it right here, continued lower, consolidated a little bit, and then essentially we broke down to fill in this gap created in midst of January. And now we're back in that same area. So after taking out internal sell side liquidity, we immediately move back to buy side liquidity. Right now, I would simply expect support from these areas, especially this down closing candle. We always expect support from down closing candles within an uptrend. And the next target would be right here at 105 on the DXY. And then we see if we can push it above this bearish fair value gap. Use it as inversion to push into our next high right here. And the main objective from my point of view essentially would be this gap right here from back in November 2023. Also overlapping with a, let me grab that here quickly, inversion fair value gap at the high. Always looking for that highest fair value gap if we don't have a bearish one. See how nicely those 50% levels overlap. Let me get rid of the brushes here. But that's essentially the target for mid to short term. NQ is pushing now, that's nice. So let's wait for the next candle close. ES ended up holding support. So all it did here was take out some stops below short-term lows. Once again, short-term lows are lows or wicks with a higher low to the left and a higher low to the right. Alright guys, so let's see, let's open up Discord. We just retested the VWAP. Also check out Bitcoin. Been doing that lately. Market structure shift here on the 4-hour time frame, on the 1-hour time frame. We ended up holding the breaker block actually. So that's nice, but I haven't taken any Bitcoin trades over the weekend. Last trade I took was this market structure shift right here. That's the bullish fair value gap. This rejection wick right here at 12. Set it all. And then you would have just waited for the bullish engulfing afterwards. No matter where you would have gotten in, if you would have anticipated the reversal immediately after you saw this rejection wick with your stop loss right here. Target the buy side right here. That's already a pretty decent move. 4.22%. Put a 10x leverage on that. Manage your risk wisely and you're good. If you're a little bit more cautious, you could add after the bullish engulfing, after retesting the bullish fair value gap and our breaker block right here. That's our breaker block. Because we shifted market structure. We formed a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. We close above our most recent lower high, shift market structure, highest up closing candle turns into our breaker block and continue higher from here. This would have been our first target. Very, very clean 1-hour market structure shift setups. And we've seen many of them lately on Bitcoin. That's why I've been trading them. And also because we have a new member in the community, well, who shared great results doing ICT concepts on Bitcoin. So yeah, a couple of us here started joining in. Let's head over here and let me put Discord on my second screen so we can focus. And I prefer to really, I already made my money with yesterday. I like the setup more because on NQ, we have still a little bit more room to go until we hit the VWAP. We have the bearish fair value gaps right here, and we have the bullish SMT divergence. So yeah, prefer NQ here really. Typically, just from experience, if we have a pretty big London session range, Asia, we could really wrap it up as consolidation. So accumulation, manipulation, expansion, reversal. That could be one scenario. So this would be our final manipulation here at the New York Open. Displacement, retest, continuation higher. After filling in the 1 and 4 hour fair value gaps to the downside. We'll see if we get that kind of a Monday, essentially. Make this a gray fair value gap. Now we have perfect equal highs here on NQ. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We added one right here at 483. Let's add another one if we get the chance on this fair value gap. and maybe at the 50% level. Right, so we got filled, just did some Discord DMs here. If I don't catch up with Discord DMs, I'm completely getting drowned in them, so always gotta make sure. Actually, we opened up a new hourly candle now. It's 3 p.m. my local time. And what do we see? That's why I like the ICT all-in-one so much. I don't have to switch between time frames. My two go-to time frames are the 5-minute and 1 hour time frame. You can see right here that on the 1 hour chart, we closed above our lowest bearish fair value gap. Interesting. We open up with a volume imbalance here though. And we also see that right here on the 1 hour chart. We closed here, we open up here. On the 5-minute chart, that's looking like this. Close here, open up right here. Still getting held up at the VWAP. So once we break above that, I think we can really move into this hourly bearish fair value gap. Essentially lining up nicely with the two bearish fair value gaps we have right here to fill those in. Is there a way to draw a straight line? No, right? No, that's the wrong chart. Does anyone know shortkey to draw straight lines? Oh, they're pretty straight. Why can't I do it here? Damn. Straight, and then I want to do it over here. And no, don't worry. Don't worry. Right. Bitcoin at 68, nice. 4-hour chart is pushing. Next target would be 69 essentially, the all-time high. And if we make it out of this here on the 4-hour time frame without taking out the slow, we'd actually end up with some SMT divergence, because I like to use SMT divergence with Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's why I'm currently in an Ethereum long. Because those are the two biggest coins by market cap. And they're to some extent correlated. And this would really be that flippening level for me. Once we break back above this and manage to hold it, I think we can continue higher to make new all-time highs. Bullish fair value gap right here, and we're moving away from it nicely. We're pushing. Anyone in a trade right now? Anyone join me on this long here on NQ? It's the only trade I'm in right now. Not gonna hold on forever though. Since the 50% level is, yeah, just around that corner. I'd say the first best exit would be right here. Okay, so there we go. We broke above. Nice. Ooh. Damn, Bongo. The only answer I can give you to that is that one. Let's see if I can. I can't find it. Can I? Let's see. Yeah, that's my answer to it. Nice turtle soup. Really good. And 1 minute time frame NQ here. So essentially sniped the entry right here. Momentum started to cool off. And that's essentially when, you know, okay, reversal is upon us. And then we already invalidated the lowest bearish value gap, pushed through it, closed above our next bearish value gap within this entire price leg. Never came back to retest it. And then yeah, we had a nice opportunity here with the 5 minute bullish fair value gap. We added 2 contracts, one right here and one on the retracement at the 50% of this fair value gap. Paired with the bullish SMT, we already closed one now, getting rid of the SPY limit and placing my sell stop. Put it into profit to protect the trade. Really simple. So now we're looking at the 1 hour. We already know we hit our 50% level. We secured some partials. Even if that's the only trade we end up taking today, I'd be happy with it. We don't have any fair value gaps that we can work with on ES, besides the one that I already used to catch this trade right here. At the New York Open, we took out the lows. Oh, come on, we're pushing. Open up with a volume imbalance, that's also nice. On the 15-minute time frame, so we could also be checking out this one. Nice. See how we retested the 15-minute inversion fair value gap right here? We ended up holding resistance for quite a while, and then at 9:45 we closed above it, and the 10 a.m. candle comes back to retest exactly the high of this inversion fair value gap right here. And now we're turning around. And you know this has potential to at least take out, yeah, majority of the buy side, because we spend a lot of time down here. That's a lot of time where market makers can accumulate longs at a deep discount, essentially, at the low of the day. This didn't just turn around like this. It turned around like this. And something happened down there. We actually even have SMT divergence. That's what we based the NQ long on. Right here, because NQ actually made a lower low. Cartio, I'm expecting you to be on that long as our NQ SMT divergence guy. We're pushing. Bitcoin is pushing as well. Looks like the overall market is bullish. The next buy side we lined out is 69k, our old all-time high. So let's see. Check out the 1 hour time frame here. Well, I know, I think we still have some more sell side to take. But the overall target, I think a good target would be this 4 hour bearish fair value gap. See that right here? So once we retrace into this 4 hour bearish, I'm essentially looking forward to take profit. Now all we have to do is sit back and watch. How comfortable is that? Let me actually charge up my phone here. Like, oh, damn. Like always, it's your call to ask questions. I don't know. We always have, most of the time we have the same people in here. So I assume, yeah, well, asked all the questions, but yeah, just make sure that I have more stuff to talk about. We already, come on. There we go. We already recapped the entire London session on both ES and NQ during our London session tape read. Already outlined all that. We covered the pre-New York Open long I took. We even talked about Bitcoin here, and we outlined the daily analysis here on the DXY chart. So pretty much got it all covered. For our time frame on ES, right here we're inside the 4-hour bearish. I would like to see NQ reach that 4-hour fair value gap still. And then from here reject and well, reject or continue higher. I don't really care. I'm happy to get out at that point. Some decent profit. Already secured one contract. Anyone else in a trade right now? Just practicing on NQ, did all I needed in London, so I'm just watching mostly. I want to get better on the 1 minute chart on NQ. Still moves too fast for me to trade real money right now. Fair enough, of course. Practice in a demo environment, and I think that's the best thing you could actually be doing. That's why I like the 5 minute time frame, and I'm still able to, yeah, catch great moves that pay, essentially. Bitcoin broke 69K. And there we go, we're out. Nice. Very clean. Hit the 50% of our 4-hour fair value gap now. Yeah, I only had 2 contracts going, and I'm pretty happy with the exits I took. Of course, I could have set it to the 50%, but well, I really don't mind taking my profits there. Took a small trade in alignment on the SPX, utilizing a bullish put spread. Okay, nice gain for a Monday. Made my day out of market now. So you're trading options, if I heard that correctly or read that correctly. Cool. That's cool. Since when? Since when did you start doing that? Last year. Okay, nice. Takes a while to get used to, I imagine, but I heard the risk to reward, not the risk to reward, but the reward is pretty sweet. But you certainly have to know what you're doing if you trade options. I never really got into it, to be honest. Seemed a little bit too, well, unnecessary, kind of. I prefer being a master of one instead, master of none. But able to do everything a little bit, I don't know. I prefer the other way. But maybe you can sell it to me. It takes time to learn and trade options on SPX. Huh. Would you say it's more rewarding than normal trading? Like I do, for example, right now? Yeah, for me, Bongo Rambo, to get back to what you said, that it would make sense to sell off from this 4-hour bearish. I don't know. For me, we're not in bullish market structure, so I'm not really setting my profit targets. That also, I don't know, changed within the last couple of months. Anywhere above 4-hour bearish premiums, essentially, bearish value gaps, doesn't make sense. So I prefer to continue or take another long once I see that 4-hour confirmation that we are starting to overtake 4-hour bearish value gaps. In the same way as we're doing it on a 1 or 5 minute time frame, we don't long until we get the inversion fair value gap confirmation. So getting out at that point is really the best thing you could be doing, of course, unless you're, let's say, a swing trader and you prefer holding on to your trades because you see the potential from your daily time frame and all that stuff. When we could be looking at the daily right now, filled in daily bullish fair value gap. This could turn around here, but I prefer to get in quick and out, sometimes even quicker if I see invalidation. And this rejection wick right here from the 50% of our 4 hour was pretty sweet. Outlined it all. We got in. My stop loss was, my safety stop loss was right here at this low right here where the candle's closed. If I would have seen the invalidation of this bullish fair value gap, I would have closed my trade. And yeah, take profit targets. We really set them on the go. We looked at our most recent 1 hour PD array from this short-term high to the short-term low. Measured it out right here. 50% level, previous day's low. I took profits right here on the 1 hour bearish fair value gap here in the middle with this exit right there at 18502.75. And then, yeah, for the next target, I really looked for an exit on the higher time frame. We had so many 1 hour fair value gaps, so I was wondering if we also have a 4 hour fair value gap, saw the 4 hour fair value gap, and went for the low hanging fruit exit. Because we could have just hit, I don't know, let's say 18539.25 and never actually hit the exit at the 50% level of the 4 hour fair value gap. And now it's really time for a retracement. I think that wick right here on a 5-minute time frame already confirmed it, that we are going to retest the VWAP now after essentially spending the entire day below the VWAP. Now we flipped it. We're above the VWAP. We have 2 bullish discounts paired with a breaker block, so it just makes sense to get out. You can still get another entry in on that retracement. And in case they get invalidated, well, you could capture the short. But I think for me, that's going to be it today. Booming. Still not a single fair value gap on the S&P. No. Tiny little one. On the 5-minute ES chart right here. Same thing on the S. First time, well, except this one, that we are now back above the VWAP. Let's see if we now use it to hold support. If you never used the VWAP and you're wondering why I'm using the VWAP, just put it on your chart and you'll see. What's the time? It's 3:31. So timing wise, it would also make sense. We tend to turn around on the 10:30 candle. Not specifically the 10:30 candle. Everything has to be in alignment for it to happen, but the probability for a trend reversal, in my opinion, is the highest at the 30-minute mark of each hourly candle. Just posting the trades we took on Twitter already. Multitasking. Not really the biggest fan of getting long immediately. I try to improve that because I'm usually very quick to enter trades, especially after the previous trade was a winning trade. Improving my, well, what do we call it? Being content with enough. Yeah, that would wrap it up. But going from here, obviously, I know we hit the 4-hour bearish fair value gap, but as long as we don't see any reason for price to reverse from here, by that we mean we always use fair value gaps and market structure to tell order flow essentially. And so far we haven't seen a single sign or clue or even a hint of why we should reject here. Maybe the first hint would be the test of the 58% level of this 4-hour bearish fair value gap. But besides that, we're still forming higher highs and higher lows. So flow is bullish, no questions about it. Until that's changing and we start to invalidate our bullish fair value gaps that we just left behind, no reason to believe that we're going to turn around from here. Same thing goes for the S&P 500. Just quickly going to the bathroom. Guys, are there any questions or are you still in the trade right now? Did you miss it and are you trying to jump on the train right now? Did you already, RM, you already mentioned that you made your profits during the London session and that you're just watching right now? Bongo Rambo, how about you? And what about you, Katya? Are you currently trading or just watching? Did you make your profits during London? I saw the London long you took. We can talk about that here quickly. So on a 1 minute time frame during the London session, right after the opening here at 4:20 a.m. in the morning. If we go to the 1 minute time frame, he's a very quick guy. He saw the opportunity here on NQ because we took out short-term lows. Right here, London opened up. We consolidated, we turn around with the new hourly opening. Hit, what's essentially now the 50% level of our 4-hour bearish fair value gap, but that fair value gap didn't exist at that point in time. And we took sell side, but this never happened on 4:20 a.m. He on ES. ES didn't sweep this sweep this low, so he saw the SMT divergence, saw the reaction that followed after we took out sell side liquidity right here. Immediate push back up. And I'm pretty sure you got in on that candle. if not somewhere around here. Simply with a very simple target, equal high buy side. Not looking for the moon or the previous week's high. Quick in and out, a predictable in and out, and then you play the probabilities. Another entry, or where you could have, for example, added to your position, where we're simply using the inversion fair value gaps that are left behind. So right here we have a bearish fair value gap. We close above it, we retest it, we open with a gap below it, but we still close above it. So we're all good here. Our next fair value gap would have been right here. Yeah, like that. We close above it, we come back to retest it and continue to push. The next fair value gap would have been right here, but we already pushed above that and hit buy side liquidity. Then we came back to retest it. What happened afterwards doesn't really matter. We already sniped this, and then it's already time to leave your charts. Because most likely you're having an adrenaline rush right now, dopamine rush, and you're like, damn it, yeah, nice, all right, let's keep it going, let's keep it rolling. Like in a casino, you don't stop on your winning streak, essentially. You're on a roll. And yeah, most of the time you would prefer to avoid that when trading. At least I do. Because usually at the end of that streak comes a big loss that wipes out all your winnings. And then you keep on going, and that's a little vicious cycle, a vicious circle that we're dealing with here. Well, I'm taking a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Right, we're still consolidating here. To be honest, guys, unless you have any more questions, I would really wrap it up here. We caught a nice trade. That's all really I'm looking forward to do during the New York live streams. And of course, answering questions. And if there aren't any, then I don't know really what to do, because I'm not going to take another trade. I've already made that decision. We outlined what could potentially happen. We outlined the 4-hour bearish fair value gap. We have to get above that really before I would consider looking for new longs, especially since we caught the initial long. Chasing this now, especially seeing how we fail to continue higher. After testing 50% of that fair value gap, the 4-hour fair value gap, kind of makes me wonder how we're going to continue. Of course, at the same time, we see support on the most recent bullish fair value gap here on the 5-minute time frame. We have a market structure shift. We have bullish SMT divergence between ES and NQ. We have a final manipulation move, a 9:30 open Judas swing, which is also interesting. So, well, don't want to say it's 50-50, but the odds are well weighted. We have bearish 4-hour structure and 1-hour structure. We just filled in all these 1-hour bearish fair value gaps. We've just hit this 4-hour bearish fair value gap right here. Let me hide everything quickly. And well, it's hard to argue that we're in bearish order flow. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high question mark. Doesn't mean we cannot catch a quick scalp here on NQ, but I think the retest of the breaker block will come first, or the VWAP, previous day's low. That's also a good point for the potential long here. We took out the previous day's low, so Friday's low. Have a nice market structure shift here, SMT divergence, bullish fair value gaps, forming higher highs and higher lows. Would be surprised if that immediately fails. But yeah, this is our major roadblock right now. We have to get above that, ideally close above that on the 4-hour time frame, and we really get that next 4-hour close at 2 p.m. New York local time. So that's going to take a little while. And for the time being, I'm not really interested to take any more trades. We caught the low. Had a couple of good trades already today. And yeah, I don't know. Now it's just time to do something else. And if you want, come back for the PM session and see how we react off this. Or if you have a good and strong short conviction, disregarding all the bullish stuff that I just talked about, well, you could look for that reversal, maybe, but I would wait for confirmation closest below the fair value gaps. But you can see how it's much more 50-50 what price is going to do compared to the long setup we took right here. It's hard to argue. We are back at this point in time where I took the longs here, or where we took the longs. We still had to fill in all these 1-hour bearish fair value gaps. We still had to fill in, we still had some empty space here on the 4-hour bearish fair value gap, empty space on these 1-hour bearish fair value gaps. Order flow is bearish, so we would look forward for those to be traded into. And then on the 5-minute time frame, we had some nice confirmation. So 9:30 opened up. We continued lower first, left behind this bullish SMT divergence, and immediately turn around, shifting structure right here, retesting bullish fair value gaps, and continuing higher from there into all this blank space, essentially, all these bearish fair value gaps. So what it's doing from here is much harder to tell than, well, the trade right here. It's much harder to find arguments for the shorts from here than finding, arguments for the short right here. On a higher time frame, we have bearish order flow. We filled in bearish value gaps. Now we would simply, if order flow is going to continue to be bearish, we would look for that continuation and look for a short setup on the lower time frame. But on a lower time frame, it looks kind of bullish, especially with the SMT divergence at the low, having taken out the previous day's low, the market structure shift breaker block, bullish fair value gaps. Kind of contradictive, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Usually that leads me to taking longs and then immediately flipping my bias to shorts again, and then longs again, and just that analysis paralysis most of the time. This was really one of those more rare 90-10 opportunities at the low of the day. We had perfect equal highs. Bullish SMT divergence, took out Friday's low. So from here, with all that blank space on the higher time frames, a very high probability short, if you ask me. Long, sorry. But deciding whether it's going to continue higher or lower, trying to, I don't know, fetch a probability out of that. I don't know. On a lower time frame, I'd say chances of us continuing higher has the higher probability. But if I look at the higher time frame, 4 hour and 1 hour time frame, I'd say exactly the opposite. So that's that 50-50 part. Here on NQ. On ES, well, now we're just consolidating at the VWAP. We still have potential sell side to clear at 5271. If we look at the swings that we've seen today already, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. That's what we would expect from the higher time frame with our 1 hour bearish value gaps right here. We'll see, I'd say. Unless there are any more questions, I would end the stream here, upload the live stream recording, and go outside and enjoy the sun a little bit. Thank you. You too have a good day. Enjoy the afternoon and evening. We will be back tomorrow for the London session live stream.